Governor Hope Uzodimma sworn in for a second term as governor of Imo State. Inhabitants of the FCT and Commissioner for Public Complaints tell the federal government to declare state of emergency in Abuja. The EFCC arrests former Minister Charles Ugu and one other over the alleged 3.6 billion naira fraud. Let's check out stories from outside Nigeria. Liberia's outgoing president, George Oppongwe, says he won't run again for president. Opposition condemns designation of Chad's military ruler as presidential candidate. Those are the headlines we're monitoring tonight on News Central TV. Now, on Politics HQ, the Supreme Court on Friday affirmed the elections of 8 state governors. Should Nigerians have a renewed hope and renewed faith in the country's judiciary? Also tonight, ex-governor squirm, minister stammer, lawyers are scrambling. The EFCC's anti-corruption fire is back, or is it? The heat is scorching some familiar faces. Tonight we will grill our guests on the sizzling question: will the past scenes of our politicians derail their political ambitions? Can the EFCC bite after all the backing? Politics HQ starts now. Stay with us. Welcome. My name is Kofi Bartels. Nigeria's Supreme Court on Friday affirmed the elections of 8 state governors, including the governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, and his Kano State counterpart, Governor Abba Yusuf Kabiru, who were both sacked by the Court of Appeal last year. It's quite a controversial one. Others are Governor Francis Nwifuru of Ebonyi State, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, Governor Alex Oti of Abia State, and Governor Bassey Otu, they call him the Sweet Prince of Cross River State. A 5-member panel of the Supreme Court led by Justice Inga Okoro in a unanimous judgment set aside the decisions of the Court of Appeal Abuja Division in the appeals challenging the election of Governor Mutfwang. Presiding Judge Justice Inga Okoro said that a lot of people had suffered from the decision of the lower court. Indeed, if you remember following discussions on this program, 2 senators and 4 members of the House of Representatives, as well as the members of the PDP in the Plateau State House of Assembly, were removed from office by the Court of Appeal on account of the same facts and the same issues on which the Apex Court restored Caleb Mutfwang to his office. Well, delivering the lead judgment on the Plateau State Appeal, Justice Emmanuel Agim has said that the Court of Appeal was wrong when it held that the order of the Plateau State High Court on the state PDP chapter did not comply with the party's National Executive Council. That's the statement right there. How about Kano State? In the appeal of the Kano State, Governor Abba Yusuf Kari, whose victory at the March 2023 election was earlier overturned by the 2 lower courts, the Tribunal and the Court of Appeal. Well, the panel of justices of the Supreme Court, led by my Lord, the Honorable Justice Inga Okoro, unanimously set aside the concurrent decisions of the 2 lower courts, which had sacked the governor from office over what they of alleged irregularities during the March 2023 disputed election. Now, tonight we want to know if Nigerians can have renewed faith and even maybe renewed hope in Nigeria's judiciary. Joining us tonight, spokesperson for the New Nigeria People's Party, Ladipo Johnson. He's a lawyer. He joins us via video link from Abuja. And of course, you have Monday Mawah, who also joins us via video link. He's a legal practitioner, but both gentlemen are lawyers. Monday, and of course, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Mawah, it's good to have you on the program tonight.
It's a pleasure to hear again.
All right, let's start with you, Monday Mawah. What's your reaction to Friday's judgments of the Supreme Court?
Yes, Kofi. without wasting much of your time, my reaction is a reaction of joy. Not because the Apex Court declared NNPP and PDP as a winner, but rather the courage of the Apex Court to do what is right informed my joy and my reaction of that day. Of course, I was in a radio program on Saturday, and I told the presenter, the anchor of that radio program, that apart from the New Year, my joy when we cross over to New Year 2024, that on Friday was my second happiest day in this 2024. And the reason is simple. Having participated actively in election petition in 2023, I for the first time was now looking elsewhere to begin to, maybe I was looking at maybe coming to join people in journalism and dumping my wig and gown as a lawyer, because from what we experienced in this 2023, it was quite pathetic. So personally, I'm so happy, and I sincerely thank the very noble lords or their lordship, headed by Honorable Justice Okoro Yang, for that courage, for that pragmatism, for speaking truth to power, for being firm, and for not even trying to cover up anybody. If you look at the vision of my Lord Okoro, even after delivering the judgment, in the course of in the passing, he made a very far-reaching statement. And one of them was that my Lord said, many of the legislators have been sacked by the wrongful judgment. He used the word wrongful, not error in judgment. He said by the wrongful judgment of the Court of Appeal. Mr. Kofi, it was quite unfortunate. And if not that the Supreme Court came to our rescue that day, I am telling you this for fact, that the noble profession would have been in great trouble. The noble profession was almost going into shame by some of the display.
All right. Yeah, I'll come back to you, Monday Mawah, but I'll come back to you, but I want to find out if we have Ladipo Johnson with us. Okay, Ladipo Johnson, good to have you. Okay, we do not have Ladipo Johnson yet. We'll put him on immediately comes on so we can hear from the members of the NNPP. So Monday, you're saying that it would have been a disgrace for the legal profession in Nigeria. You've said all these things, but we had judgments with the appeal, and the lawmakers had been sacked, including the PDP members of the Plateau State House of Assembly. We've had judgments sacking the House of Representative members and its 2 senators in Plateau State. Nobody died. The sky did not fall from heaven. We've had conflicting judgments all the way to the Supreme Court with some other cases like the presidential election petition cases where some of the decisions on appeal of the appeals have been in conflict with what the Supreme Court ruled, and nobody died. The sky didn't fall on anyone's head. So all you're saying, we can argue that it's because the decision went the other way. Nothing would have happened. It could be argued. Nothing, we would have just moved on as if, nothing happened.
Okay, I disagree with you this time. The reason is simple.
I'm asking.
If the Supreme Court had done otherwise, as I speak to you today, probably Kanu would have been inflamed today. Plateau would have been inflamed. Now, let me tell you this. There is an elementary principle in election matter. If you have been involved in election matter, there's one thing that is very simple, and which is that election matters are divided into 2 categories. We have pre-election matters and post-election matters. And then for the benefit of members of the public and people like you, what is pre-election matters? Pre-election matters are activities that took place or are issues that arose from Congress of political party up to a night to elections. Every event, everything that transpired from Congresses to a night to election, they are all classified as pre-election matters, and they are covered by virtue of section 285, sub 14, paragraph A to C. They are all pre-election matters. Then anything that happened on election day is deemed to be election matter. Now, what is the difference? For a pre-election matter, by virtue of section 285, any aggrieved person has to approach the court within 14 days of the happening of the.
Okay, Monday Mawah, you've joined the Galadima of NNPP to say that Kano State would have been on fire
Yes.
if the court gave a different judgment. Are you insinuating that, my lords, the honorable justices of the courts, the temple of justice, the highest court of the land, did not rule according to law, but ruled according to sentiments, like the Chief Justice, the Lord the Honorable Justice Ariola has told them not to? Are you saying that they were allowed the mob to determine their decision? Is that what you were saying? You're a lawyer, so I want you to tell me. You're on record here.
Not at all. Kofi, let me quickly add this. Peace is not the absence of conflict, according to, I think, one scholar. He said peace is not the absence of conflict. He said it is justice inside the conflict. That is what we call peace. Now, what are we talking about? Look at what happened in Kano State, my brother. I'm not a member of ANPP, neither am I a member of PDP, but I'm a lover of democracy and rule of law. And we must all be a party to what is right. Now, let me tell you about what happened in Kano. Now, after the election, the ANPP candidate pulled the highest votes, scoring about 1 million plus votes. And then his close rival, who from the APC, pulled 89,000 votes. And then they were dissatisfied, and then they approached the tribunal. The tribunal, in a magical form, came to a conclusion and deducted 165 votes from that of the ANPP on the ground that some of the ballot paper were not stamped by INEC or dated. Now, Kofi, the question is this: if INEC failed to date or sign a ballot paper, is that the fault of ANPP? Why will you visit the scene of Mr. Paul or Mr. John? So, if there was an issue like that, how will you now use that as a basis to nullify election? And also, Kofi, let me quickly also add this. There are grounds upon which election can be challenged as covered by the Electoral Act. The fact that INEC failed or refused to sign a ballot paper is not one of those grounds, my brother. So, tribunal made a mistake for whatever reason. Of course, some of the members of the tribunal, some of them are drawn from even magistrate court.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying that
we're now looking up to Court of Appeal.
Okay.
To right that.
Let's look at.
Unfortunately,
yes.
Unfortunately, Court of Appeal didn't do that.
Okay.
Rather, Court of Appeal raised a fresh issue and brought issue of membership of the candidate of ANPP to the matter, which was not part of the issue at the lower court.
We'll go back to NNPP Monday, whilst we try to get Ladipo Johnson, who would rather join us in the studio, settled down properly. But we want to take a quick break, and when we come back, I would like us to look at also the Plateau State situation, because I want to know what the Supreme Court saw that the Court of Appeal did not see. It's what I want you to tell me when we come back from the break. Is still Politics HQ. We'll be right back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We're still looking at Friday's decisions by the Supreme Court of Nigeria, of course, regarding the governorship elections of 8 states in the country. Of course, the Supreme Court on Friday affirmed the election of 8 state governors. All these governors won the elections. That's what we have to point out. All these governors won their elections. We have the governors of Plateau State, Governor of Plateau State, rather, Caleb Mutfwang, the governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf Kabiru. The governor, those 2 governors were sacked in November by the Court of Appeal on different grounds. Look at that as we go on tonight. The other governors who won the elections and had won their, successfully defended their elections at the appeal from the tribunal stage to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court, they include Francis Iwifuru of Delta's Ebonyi State. He's of Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. We have Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State. We have Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, as well as Governor Alex Oti, rather, of Abia State, and Governor Bassey Otu, the Sweet Prince of Cross River State. We still have with us via video link Monday Mawah, who is a lawyer. Another lawyer joins us in the studio. He is the National Auditor for the New Nigeria People's Party, Ladipo Johnson. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. And Mr. Johnson, thanks for joining us in the studio tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, now Monday has given his own a take on Friday's development. What's your reaction? Do you agree that Kano State would have been on fire if the judgment had gone the other way?
Well, thanks for the question. Sincerely speaking, yes, I believe that with the passion the people have in Kano, you would have seen pictures and videos yesterday when the governor returned to Kano. Even driving through Kaduna, the crowds that came out to welcome him, it shows the passion they have. And I keep telling people that it was not a 2023 problem. It was something that had come from 2019 when they felt he won the election, but INEC at that time said it was inconclusive, and then whatever happened, happened, and Ganduje had a second term. So the people of Kano actually felt they were being cheated. They felt they had voted. They didn't understand any technicality or anything being raised. And so we were all apprehensive because, of course, if we had had problems, people would have said, oh, maybe it's the NNPP supporters. And it's not just NNPP members that voted. It was the populace in Kano. And please recall that Abba Kabir Yusuf had over 1 million votes, more than any other governor elected during this cycle of elections.
Should we encourage? Because I asked Monday the same question. Judicial, are you therefore saying maybe that the honorable justices of the Supreme Court, our lords, gave that judgment in favor of Abba Kabir Yusuf, the governor of Kano State, of the NNPP, because they were afraid of the violence that will erupt in Kano and possibly in Abuja after the judgment, if it went the other way?
No, I doubt that very much. The judges gave cited cases, precedents that were in existence. The moment the tribunal did whatever it did, we started to shout out that this goes against established precedents. And that is what you had. The Court of Appeal came, it totally ignored what the tribunal said, picked up on membership, said that they felt he wasn't a member. And we also said at that time that, look, it has been laid. The precedent has been laid and it's been followed in many cases, including Gregory Obi and Bola Tinubu, etc. Membership is an internal thing to do with the party, and it's a pre-election matter. So these two things, and of course the other one was the deduction of ballot papers, because they were not signed, some of them were not signed at the back or stamped. These two things are simple, straightforward legal issues. But then again, we had a lot of things surrounding the whole event. So, but I genuinely think that the judges did what they had to do. I don't think that they were heavily swayed or swayed by public opinion or complaints by us, some of us who are politicians, who were shouting.
But we saw, Ladipo Johnson, we saw the crowds in Abuja, just outside the judiciary complex, and we saw the crowds in Kano and the tension that was there. Can you really defend your party, the NNPP, as not taking advantage of this massive, support that they have on the ground to sort of put the judiciary in a tight corner?
No, I
Maybe
don't think,
playing that card, let's call it.
No. That wasn't the intention. In fact, we did so much to plead with them all through, from the tribunal to the Court of Appeal. We kept pleading with them that let the rule of law prevail. Don't go out onto the streets, excuse me. And we did our best. We went round embassies, we went round the EU, the African Union, ECOWAS, and everything. Not to talk, you understand, we were saying, please do not interfere with the judiciary. Do not. You see, this thing runs very deep. A lot of things have happened. But I don't know. Some of them are not easily discussed on air. But basically, we didn't think we had to cow the judiciary by making them see the crowd and make it. Besides, if anyone would have seen the crowds, it would have been the executive arm of government. They would be the ones to receive security reports from various states. That Plateau, this is it. Kano, volatile, this and that. It would have been the executive arm of government and not the judicial arm of government. That's why, in many ways, the judicial arm is shielded slightly shielded from society. And they're just meant to do their work based on the rule of law, laid down precedents, etc.
Okay. Monday Mawah, thanks for staying with us there. I asked you a question before we went on the break. What was it that the Supreme Court saw that the Court of Appeal failed to see? Of course, we know the issues, for instance, with the sponsorship of Abba Kabir Yusuf by his party, the NNPP, where the Court of Appeal held in November, that the NNPP candidate, who is the governor, was not properly sponsored by his party. So what was it that in your opinion, the Supreme Court saw that the Court of Appeal failed to see?
Yes, Kofi, before I go into that answer to that question, I want to also add to what Mr. Johnson said. If there was a time the Supreme Court would have decided based on sentiments and emotion, based on youth issue, it would have been issue of Peter Obi. But yet, I was present in Supreme Court when that judgment was delivered. I was present to almost part of the proceeding, but the court refused to be cowed by the crowd. And by issue, they even got to a point, they were posting pictures of justices and their family all over the streets of Abuja. But Supreme Court still said, you can't push us to the wall to do what we are not supposed to do. So the issue of Kano State was not based on the crowd or whatever. The Supreme Court did what they ought to do based on their long-time established precedent. Now, coming back to your question, on the issue of the Court of Appeal raised the issue of membership, which of course was not part of what was raised at the tribunal. Then the question is this: issue of membership of a party, the Supreme Court has long settled it. There is the case of Ucha versus Owe as far back as 2011, where the Supreme Court said any matter that deals with membership, sponsorship, and nomination of candidates, that they are all issues within the internal affair of political parties, and the court has no jurisdiction to entertain.
But Monday, you've raised 2 points. Monday, you've raised 2 points. Number one, that this issue of non-sponsorship of Kabir Abba Yusuf of the NNPP, that it was not part of the petition at the tribunal stage. But some of you lawyers were the ones also, I'm not saying you, who were adamant, were witness to the fact that Atiku Abubakar inserted an issue regarding the academic records of...
Fresh evidence.
Yes, fresh evidence. And, a lot of lawyers, your colleagues said, no, it can be admitted because it's part of the case. That's number one. Number two, the reaction of a lot of legal eggheads and lawyers in the country to the decision of a presidential election petition court all the way to the Supreme Court, but on the petition of Peter Gregory and Labour Party against INEC President Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima, as well as APC, where it held that the court had no jurisdiction to adjudicate on membership of a political party raised against President Tinubu by Peter Obi. A lot of lawyers came out to say they disagreed with that. So, yes, we have the precedent there, but the idea, are we now saying that this is acceptable? And are you saying that in the case of Obi versus Tinubu, Shettima, and the APC, that you agree with the Supreme Court's judgment?
Kofi, any lawyer coming out to say issue of membership of a political party is what a tribunal can entertain, then such a lawyer, with the greatest respect to him or her, is oblivious of the precedent in election matters. Please, I think we need to get something clearly. Election matters is a matter we say is sui generis. It's in a class of its own. It's not all lawyers that are abreast of election practice and procedures. But I can tell you this for free. Issue that deals with membership. You know, I started this discussion by trying to categorize election matter into two. I said one is pre-election matters, while the other is post-election matters. And I told you the issue of pre-election matter are anything that transpired before a night to election, anything from including congresses and all of that, they are pre-election matter, and therefore not within the jurisdiction of a tribunal, and that it is only thing that happen on election day. Therefore, issue of membership of a candidate of a political party, this is not one of those things that
but Monday, you are talking about judicial precedent. If these cases were to stop at the Court of Appeal, I want to come back to you, Ladipo Johnson, and we'll be saying that, the precedent is that, where in the case of the APC versus NNPP in Kano State, the governor was sacked, then we rely on that. Does this not show that the judiciary can get it wrong sometimes? We have to go for a break, so I'm extremely sorry. We'll come back from that break, and then we'll take your thoughts. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Still looking at Friday's judgments by the Supreme Court affirming the election of 8 governors. Some of them were sacked by the lower courts, the tribunal, that's governorship election petitions courts, and the Court of Appeal, but those decisions were overturned by the Supreme Court. Still with us, legal practitioners Ladipo Johnson and Monday Mawah. Ladipo Johnson is the national auditor of the New Nigeria People's Party, and of course a spokesperson for the presidential campaign of that party in the 2023 general elections. Mr. Johnson, I hope I got that right.
Yes, you did.
Okay, yeah, gentlemen, good to have you. Before we went on the break, Ladipo Johnson, you were telling us, try to answer the question I asked earlier, that can't the courts get it right sometimes? Because we all listen to the judgment of the Supreme Court and even the presidential election petition court, and they kept saying in the case of this versus that, and some of your colleagues, I don't know about you, in the legal profession, were saying we can't be relying on some cases that are questionable, So what do you say to this?
Well, I say that you have to look at things on a case-by-case basis, really. We don't just cover everything with a blanket sort of thing. You were saying earlier as well that the precedent would have been that the Court of Appeal said so. And that is unfortunately what has happened to the people in Plateau. Those who are members that lost their elections, that lost their seats. If they had the opportunity of going to the Supreme Court, it would have been different. But the bottom line is that, as we say, there are some laid down principles, and it takes a while for the courts, the apex court, to overturn itself. Now, when you have lower courts doing their best not to follow laid down established precedents, that's what we call at times judicial rascality. And unfortunately, in so many cases within this cycle, we've seen some of that from some of the tribunals and some of the appellate courts panels that SAT oversaw some of the appeals. So yes, you cannot wish away some form of partisanship by some lawyers. Naturally, if the judgment goes against them at times, they would say things. Well, the bottom line, as Monday was saying, is that there are established principles, and any legal practitioner that wants to be true to himself knows these things. Now you can now say the facts are slightly different and try to adjust. But the court, the apex court, has found in many cases on Friday that these facts did not take the principles away from the established precedents we have on the issues, especially that of membership nomination.
Interesting, response there. In the case of Peter Obi and Labour Party and INEC, and President Tinubu, we had the respondents taking a preliminary objection to the local standing of Peter Obi to bring his petition before the courts on the ground that he contravened Section 77 sub 3 of the Electoral Act, which mandates political parties to submit the membership register of its party 30 days before the party primaries. And the INEC, the APC, and then Tinubu and Shettima had argued that the candidate in question, Peter Obi, was not a member of Labour Party, but of PDP at the time. But I want to go back to you, Monday Mawah. I've raised this question before, and I'm going to raise it again across the several discussions we've had about this Kano State case and the Peter Obi versus Tinubu case, that the Electoral Act allows people who are not members of the political parties in question to approach the court if they feel aggrieved. Because if you look at the grounds for petition in Section 134 of the Electoral Act, it says that an election may be questioned on the following grounds. A person whose election is questioned was, at the time, not qualified to contest the election. Not qualified to contest the election. And then, of course, if you look at the qualifications for contesting an election in this same Electoral Act, and even in the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, one of the grounds is that you must be a member of the political party. So yes, it follows, and I put it to you, like lawyers say, that an individual who is not a member, a candidate and a party who is not a member of the opponent's political party can go before the court to challenge the election of that candidate, even if he's not a member of the party, provided he or she has a grouse and feels that the candidate at the time of the election was not qualified. So on the grounds of qualification, you can challenge the process. What do you say to that?
Kofi, I think I can see you are struggling so hard to be like lawyers, but
I'm not struggling. I'm just trying to read from my phone where I have the Constitution.
Yeah. And you are doing well to be sincere to you. But the point is this: when you talk about qualification as envisaged by that provision you just read out, that qualification has to do with academic qualification. And of course, there are plethora of Supreme Court authority that qualification on the basis of academic is both pre-election and post-elections. So in other words, if you are of the view that Mr. A, who is the governor of a state, has not been educated up to the minimum qualification as expected by the Constitution, you from another party, you can challenge him. That is on that. However, on issue of membership, Kofi, it is only a member of a political party that can challenge the membership of another. For instance, if you are a PDP member...
According to which law, Monday Mawah, since you... According to which law?
There is the provision of Section 285, sub 14, paragraph A, B, and C.
Of the Constitution?
Now, there is a provision in paragraph C of Section 285, which allows the person to question the decision of INEC. The last 2023, I went to court to challenge the candidature of a political party in Ogun State, ADC, to say that they did not conduct a proper election, and therefore INEC has no right to have displayed their name in the final list. I got judgment at the Federal High Court. Unfortunately, on appeal to the Court of Appeal asked me a question that the party I was representing, Labour Party, the question was that whether Labour Party was a member
Monday Mawah, I want to draw your attention back to the section of the Electoral Act.
I wanted to conclude on this point.
Okay,
so
please. Okay, please go on. Please go on.
The Court of Appeal told me that it is only a member of a political party that participated in a primary of the party that can challenge the primary of the
Monday Mawah,
party.
you're talking about what the Court of Appeal told you. Monday Mawah,
Yes.
is this same Court of Appeal? Can I learn, sir? Is this same Court of Appeal, sir, that today you're sitting in your seat telling us committed a blunder, and for which the Supreme Court has given them what your colleague Michael Zekome, SAN, said is judicial koboko. Now,
Yes.
so if you're telling me Court of Appeal told you XYZ, should we take it? Because you're saying that yes, you're agreeing that the Electoral Act allows candidates and parties who are not members of the parties they are petitioning to drag those parties to the court if they feel that those parties or candidates were not qualified to contest the election. You've agreed. But you were saying that it's on ground of academic qualification. But the Electoral Act, the Constitution, is very clear on what the qualification to be president of Nigeria is. And it says that qualification is in section 131 sub C if he is a member of a political party and is sponsored by a political party.
Now, who determines a member of a political party? It's the party itself. Once the party says, oh, Mr. Johnson Ladipo is my member, another person from another party cannot begin to question his membership. That is what the Supreme Court has established. Even in Peter Obi case and Tinubu in 2023. And that has been the precedent we have. It has been consistent. Now, what I was trying to tell you is that was why some of us were surprised when some panels of the Court of Appeal were now looking away from the long-age established principle on nomination, membership, and sponsorship of a political party. That is only a political party that can determine who its member is, and not the court.
But let me come back to Ladipo Johnson. Every political party has a register, and you're meant to submit such register as and when due for the authorities to know who your member is. Nobody can just wake up and say I'm a member of a party. Ladipo Johnson, am I correct?
Fantastic. I'll ask you a question in answering your question. I have a register. What if administratively my register coming from Lagos State hasn't been updated into the national register by the time I was meant to submit? But the person, especially this time, because they had to...
But there's a deadline.
Hang on, there's a deadline.
There's a deadline.
Hang on. And then the man has a membership card. It is scanned and uploaded when they are filling the INEC form. He has a membership card, and then you don't find his name on one of the registers, but his name is on some other registers.
Unfortunately, that's the law.
The law didn't say, sorry,
the membership
law, read it properly.
Of your members 30 days before the party primary.
Fantastic, but the law didn't say the name of that member has to be in the register.
But it's a membership register.
Yes, but if, as I said, there's an administrative process. Hang on, there's an administrative process. You want to come. The taxman comes to News Central. They come in. No, I'm just using you. They come into News Central. They say they want to see a list of your staff, right? And on one list, they have Mr. Kofi Bartels. But you have your ID card and everything. But on the main list by your accountant, your name is not there yet. They will exclude you from the tax. They won't. You are still a member.
Paperwork.
Exactly.
Paperwork.
What if that paperwork? What if that paperwork in that national register has not been properly updated?
There's a deadline.
Yet.
There's a reason they have the deadline. 30
yes,
days.
they have a deadline.
If you're not on that register,
then you need to change the law.
So you are not a member of the party.
Hang on. You need to change the law. Your law now has to say any card-carrying member must have his name on the membership register as at so date. If not, he is not a member of the party.
Are you both agreeing that parties, other parties, candidates that don't belong to the parties that are being dragged before the tribunals, have a legal right to challenge the elections of those parties on the grounds that they were not qualified to be on the ballot because of what the Constitution says in terms of qualification? Are we agreeing on that?
No.
But you just said
Kofi, you are getting me wrong. Actually, we are getting
Monday, no, we read out the qualifications. We read out the qualifications for the presidency. One of those was sponsorship of by political party.
That's just one of the qualifications.
So we also went to the Electoral Act, which says
just one of
which
the qualifications.
says that a party or individual can challenge the election on the grounds that that person was not qualified, no matter whether the person is a member of the party or not. Yeah.
Monday
interpreted that qualification to mean that
God
the
bless
only
you.
qualification you can challenge another person from another party can challenge is that of academic qualification, but no other qualification.
But is that what the law says? You're still saying the appeal court said the Supreme Court. Is that what the law? Let's put that aside. The law is one. It's written there that you can challenge the qualification.
You are reading the letter of the law, not the spirit of the law. We are looking at the intention of the framer in making the law. What was their intention? When you are interpreting law, the rule is that beyond, the first thing you look at is the literary interpretation of the statute. Now, if you cannot deduce the intention of the framer from the literary interpretation, you go to what we call the intention.
Monday, I want you to tell me the letter. Leave the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal aside. I want you to tell me this letter in spirit. Section 134, subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Electoral Act says, an election may be questioned on any of the following grounds.
Yes.
A, that a person whose election is questioned was at the time of the election not qualified to contest that election qualification. And then we go to the Constitution that looks at what that qualification entails. It talks about citizenship by birth.
Yeah.
It talks about attaining the age of 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about being a member of a political party and being sponsored by that political party.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about having been educated at least up to school certificate, a level or its equivalent. Mm-hmm. You're telling me, Monday Mawah, that you're going to take some of these and then leave some out when they are all qualifications. And the Electoral Act says that you can challenge the election of any individual based on their qualification at the time. At the time of the election, they were not qualified, whether you're a member of the party or not. What is the spirit of this, sir?
Look at what happened in Kano State.
No, I don't want you to. I want you to look. I want you to look at the Constitution. Let's leave all those things aside.
Kofi, let me tell you. There is this school of thought that says, according to the English, I think Lord Atkinson, he said to the bad man, he does not care a straw of what the English law states or what the Massachusetts law states. He said, but he's more interested in what the court will do. He said, I am much of his mind that when the chips are down, the prophecy of what the court will do and
nothing more pretentious. What I mean by law.
Let me conclude there, Kofi. Now, all of what you have read out now is now dependent on what the interpretation the court will give to it. For instance, the court has said on issue of membership, it is an internal affair of a political party. It is whoever the political party says is his member, that is his member. It is not the duty of the court to force membership on a political party or to remove membership of a political party from it. So what a political party says, Kofi is my member, you are his member. Once a political party says, Monday Mawah is my member, I am not his member.
All right. Thank you, Monday. Because of time, just final thoughts from Ladipo Johnson. Thank you for giving us that. but Ladipo Johnson, let's look at the case of Parliament quickly before we go. To the legislators, you talked about them, the federal legislators, the state legislators, do they have any remedy in all of this? Because now the Supreme Court has said that they were wrongly removed.
Well, honestly speaking, as I sit, I I know that some lawyers have been saying they can go this way, go that way, go this way. I do not know unless I open books and start to think that way. Forgive me, because for the last 6 months, in fact, if you ask me what happened in Bauchi, I'll tell you I don't know. It's been Kano in my mind. And of course, we also have Taraba coming up on Wednesday, I think, almost slightly similar removal of ballot papers, where we believe the NNPP candidate won the election. But that remains to be seen. It's also at the Supreme Court. Forgive me, because I have been so concentrated on Kanu all these days. But my last take to you, sir, is that you need to sponsor a bill to the National Assembly so that the law can change and reflect what you understand when you are talking about those grounds. You understand? Monday is right, because the interpretation we have, the law, when you have a law, it has to be interpreted one day or the other by the courts. And it's been interpreted for a while now. Stare decisis et non quieta movera.
All right. Thank you very much. You lawyers have your way, and we've thoroughly enjoyed having both of you on the program tonight. Ladipo Johnson, a national auditor of the New Nigeria People's Party, also the spokesperson of the Rabi Musa Kwankwaso 2023 presidential campaign. Monday Mawah, legal practitioner. I'm sure, Ladipo Johnson, if I join you to go to Kano, we'll have a swell time. Congratulations. Congratulations. All right, Monday Mawah, thank you so very kindly for your time. It's been a pleasure having both of you. My name is Kofi Bartels. Politics HQ returns tomorrow with more of those political conversations we love to have. Good night.